harmony, or will Marco Belacca take control? We're about to find out. I'm going to send it on over to Marshall and Paul. Oh, it's Alien Corey, actually.
Hi, friends.
I think
I was just reeling from your joke there. Okay, that we'll work on that one.
I think it was supposed to be Marshall and Paul, but they heard that pun from Maria, and they're like, I'm out. Send in the other two. So, yeah.
Welcome, friends. Alien Loading alongside Corey Baumeister to bring you the second semifinal. It is Toni Portolan representing Team Sanctimol up against Marco Belacca, who has had one hell of a pro tour thus far. One of them is going to face Christopher Larson. Any predictions, Corey?
You know, I mean, Monty was saying slight advantage to Toni, and Toni did win in the Swiss here, but the matchup just doesn't seem that great to me. I would say slight advantage to Marco, as there is just so much interaction. And then the fact that Marco gets to represent a threat on Toni's end step if Marco doesn't have to, you know, get lost on a harmonizer, those kind of things, and can just Jeskai Revelation at end step. I would think that kind of dynamic favors the control deck.
Let's see if that is indeed how things play out here as play gets underway here in semifinals. Number 2, Chris Larson is waiting to see who of these players he's going to face off against. If you're Chris, who does he want to face?
I would think Christopher would probably want to play against Control more as, yeah, I don't know, that's close too, because the 2 pre-board games we saw with Marco and Salvato, that looked pretty brutal too. So I think it is pretty close, probably still Marco, but you never know.
All right.
I also think it's very fitting that Christopher goes to the finals of a Pro Tour waiting for a dinosaur label.
I hope he got it.
I hope he got it too, and framed it.
That's going to just live in my brain for now. Like, did he get his dinosaur label? We'll never know. Maybe we'll find out. Next on Pro Tour, Lorwyn Eclipse. Toni Portolan gets a turn back now. He is chucking a bunch of things in the yard. Escape tunnels aplenty, just to get all the colors he needs to pull off his combo. And on the other side of things, Marco just content to wait for Toni to do something of importance and counter it, no doubt.
Exactly. So Toni is going to be doing a lot of setup in this games of stock ups, consult the star charts, those kind of things. And then it's really going to be, interesting to see if Marco tries to counter all of those card draw spells or just save as much interaction as possible for the big turns.
Earthbender Ascension on the stack. No More Lies says no thanks. I don't want you getting benefits off of just playing lands. So turn passing back now, and we're going to rest in peace. So no land shenanigans from the graveyard.
Largely not very important.
A do-nothing spell in this matchup.
Exactly. It's going to shut down Ice Till Explorer, bringing lands from the graveyard back. But that is really it. I would imagine that is probably a card that gets sided out in the post-board games.
I bet that's the first thing he looks at when he goes to sideboard. Just a reminder that this is best 3 out of 5. So the first 2 games, the players don't get to sideboard in anything. And then come game 3, they'll get access to those cards.
I think that is advantage to Toni, by the way. The 2 pre-board games here, you know, Marco has to leave in some less than ideal cards like Rest in Peace for next game as well. Even Spell Snare, Toni's deck very much goes from 3 and 1 as the dangerous spot. So Spell Snare is not that good except against the card Consult the Star Charts where it's excellent. But outside of that, there's still going to be some cards that Marco just doesn't really want. Like, this is, you're playing up against a, air quote, creature combo deck in this Teamer Harmonizer, but it's not the sense where you play a creature, say go, so the Day of Judgments, the Ultimas, those are also bad. So that's already 6 cards that are just really bad. Day of Judgment, Rest in Peace, Ultima.
As it stands, Day of Judgment doesn't really affect Toni because he'll just get the Fatal Passage back. He can crack that in response. Ultima, however, will result in another land, not Fatal Passage because it can be cracked, will result in the land not coming back once it's earthbended. Just because it says end the turn. No dies effects, no exiles effects, nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get triggered.
Earthbender Ascension gets a trigger off of the land fetched from Fabled Passage, as well as Fabled Passage returning to the battlefield. So, on to 3 now. Earthbender Ascension.
So doing a great job of ramping here, the Earthbender Ascension, even though it's not putting any counters on something right now, just getting that large enough that if you kind of play any threat, it's going to be impactful.
Oh, yeah. You know, this is kind of like plan B or C from Toni. If he doesn't get the combo going, then, you know, Ba Sing Se, Earthbender land, try and get a large attacker from that avenue.
Yep, exactly.
Stuck up on the stack. Does Marco allow it? He's got a Lightning Helix in hand. I saw an Ultima. Consult the star charts.
And then 2 lands, it looks like, so relatively unexciting here. So this looks like this is just Marco trying to play this, so there's less opportunities for Toni to have a spell snare, but ooh, already has it.
Nice. Oh, it always feels so good when you're able to do that.
I mean, spell snaring a 4-drop there essentially is unreal value, so huge exchange, and that may be the one big reason where I know you are a huge fan of that being the best card advantage spell in Standard. That might be the one reason why I give it back to stock up, as so many spell snares are around that it's just really brutal when you get this exchange.
Pre-spell snare.
I would agree with you. For
If
sure.
Vagimal Cub ever leaves the format and 2-drops aren't the be-all and end-all, you know, then Consult the Star Charts might be able to run free again.
Absolutely. But either way, now Marco's hand is just Helix, couple lands, Ultima. That feels horrible here from this situation. So Marco very much just wants to find more card advantage and then into counterspells. So stock up here would be the best draw, another Consult.
Elegant Parlor, does he like that? No, get that Dev Judgment out of there. Doesn't need another board wipe.
And I think I might have saw a Get Lost as well there from Marco, so the ability to do a little bit more defending. But we've seen Ba Sing Se be just okay here in the previous matches, but this feels like the type of match that it feels pretty strong. Every single time that Toni just doesn't have anything to do, has an extra 4 mana laying around, put, you know, a couple counters on a land and either start attacking in there or do this Fabled Passage trick.
Yeah, I like targeting the Fabled Passage because if there is a removal spell, then you just sacrifice it in response.
Exactly.
No life gain from Marco's side of things. And you just keep playing this, you know, pressure game where eventually Marco will be forced to answer it. Yes, he's happy to go down to 1 life, but, you know, he can't just ignore what it is that Ba Sing Se and now Earthbender Ascension are doing.
Exactly. It is the classic, when you're playing a combo deck, you distract them with something that is, you know, gaining some
Look over
minor...
here, look over here.
Exactly. And then when they do go to fully deal with it, then you're like, okay, well, now I have the combo, and you're able to pick up the win with the full bore Harmonizer combo. And now I think Marco has, you know, Helix. It's like,
he does.
do you really want to Helix a 3/3 Fabled Passage?
It's not going to end well for you.
Doesn't feel great. Normally Helixing a 3 toughness creature, that's, you know, an amazing exchange, but...
So Toni had another consideration there for another land to be Earthbent. Ultimately went for Fabled Passage. Do you think he was trying to, you know, stagger it in such a way that the Fabled Passage left behind would give it 4 power?
It was
4
the
toughness?
classic, do I want to get aggressive or do I want to get value? And Toni was waffling between that of all right, do I actually want to start getting in there for 3 or do I want to have the ability to do this exchange, which we just saw, and, you know, with perfect information, how things worked out here. Much better to do it on the Fabled Passage.
Yeah. So Lightning Helix, not gaining any life there for Marco. Earthbender Ascension, though, proving to be quite a pesky enchantment on the board.
Yep, and of course the Fabled Passage still does get to come back, even through a Rest in Peace, just because of the templating on Earthbending.
Yep.
As it's when it goes to the graveyard or exile, in case anyone is wondering.
It's pretty neat that it works around that.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like it would be like, all right, that would shut down Earthbending, but they definitely didn't want the feel-bads from Earthbending if you lose your creature.
Yeah, and the limited format
exile
would have
it,
been,
something like that. Yeah.
would have been way less fun if the lands you were using as your army just all went bye-bye.
Yeah. And now just being able to do this Ba Sing Se trick every single turn on Fabled Passage just seems like a great way to get all these basics out of your library. And Toni does play a lot of them, and a lot of different kind of them as well.
And also, you know, every draw step where he's not actually deploying anything else to the board besides a land, he just gets to sculpt and have far more resources, card advantage aplenty. There's a Jeskai Revelation in hand for Marco. BT dubs.
Yeah, and the main phase Consult the Star Charts, that felt like it either is Toni wanting that to be perceived as bait, or it was indeed bait. You know, like, okay, you counter that, and maybe I go Harmonizer full bore and win the game. Or you think it's going to be Harmonizer full bore, so you let it resolve, and maybe Toni didn't have anything. That's kind of the mind games and the questions that each player has to be asking themselves when you play a sorcery speed instant like this.
Yes. No answers in hand currently from Marco, I should say.
Sorry.
In terms of countering any spells, Get Lost, Jeskai Revelation, and the Ultimate in hand.
Yeah, and the Revelation looks great. Top deck a land, and you're going to be sitting pretty going into the next turn to have some interaction. Now, Toni does have 2 Spider Sense in the main that he can interact with. But I think this is a spot for Marco where Marco is just like, yep, you have 2 of those in your deck. I can't just be main phasing Jeskai Revelations. I think Marco has to just kind of concede that battle of just saying, yep, if you have it at Toni's end step, it's just going to get countered because if Marco goes for it in the main phase, you open the door for the Harmonizer full bore to just kill you out of nowhere.
Fabled Passage once again. Becomes a 2/2 creature. So, pretty productive turn there for Toni, sculpting his hand, finding all the answers he needs. Like you mentioned, the Spider Sense, because it is getting into Jeskai Revelation territory now. And Toni will be well aware of that.
Yeah, and Toni, it's face up now that you just took 2. You know, it is as much as, you know, we can see it and we're aware of it. It's just as obvious to Toni that it's in hand. No real reason usually to shock that in, but at the same time, high-level competitive Magic at this level, it easily could be, well, shock it in anyways, because this chip shot damage game doesn't come into play that often.
I mean, either way you slice it, Marco's dead to 28 damage if it were to resolve, so.
That is factual. Wow. Okay, just to pass the turn, I would assume a Spider Sense here, yeah.
No thank you. So, 1 problem dealt with.
And no activation of Bossing Say or anything from Toni. I think that's kind of alluding to, you know, you're not really wanting to sack too many Fabled Passages because you do still need those when you start to combo off. So there's a point when you don't want to actually search out all the lands in your deck.
For sure. You need those multiple landfall triggers. Thankfully, though, with airbending, you know, you are able to get a landfall trigger off of that when it dies and comes back, even if you fail to find.
True, yep.
But still need 2.
And 8 basics is the count. 3 islands, 3 mountains, 2 forests.
It's got all the islands out, and then a mountain and a forest, so.
And this is pretty much double Demonic Tutor when you have this many lands in hand, as you are just looking at so many cards and getting to pick your best 2. Hey, we do have a Demonic Tutor graphic. Nice.
Nice.
Good job to whoever's working the cards in hand there. It's what it feels like when you just have 10, when you're looking at the top 10, and we just saw another Consult the Star chart.
I think we saw 2 there, honestly.
That got found, yeah. So, I mean, if you don't like those cards enough, I saw full bore in there as well. You just consult again. It's pretty clear. It's 100% sure Marco doesn't have a spell snare. You would have fired that off.
Yeah.
But pretty clear you don't have any other hard counter spell. And Toni just got to this point in the game where the only real counter spells available for Marco are counter unless you pay 3 No More Lies. And it's just not available as long as Toni just never fully taps out. And
so if Toni is able to go for the combo with some counterspell backup, you know, he's free and clear to go on to game number 2 here.
Or even not even counterspell backup, just the fact that if you have 3 lands available, that is kind of like counterspell backup.
Wistfulness.
Destroy this, draw 2. Results.
Toni not wanting to put all his eggs in the one harmonizing basket, so.
Yep. And of course, exiles first. So that rest in peace. Technically exiled. Very minor, of course, and not going to come up. But
Sorry, can I change the...
I think he does keep his graveyard sideways.
yeah, I'm just saying wistfulness exiles rest in peace, not destroys it.
Yes, yeah.
So it should be with the other exile cards. And looks like we're going to discard Burst Lightning instead of the land.
But Corey, my damage to the face.
Yeah, not usually exactly
Nah.
what this. This card doesn't go to the face very often. It goes to a Badger Mole Cub quite often.
Sure.
Go. And now there's a little bit of pressure from Wistfulness. Nothing that is going to likely just solo the game here, but once again, it's one of those distractions.
Yeah. Also, another thing to put some counters on too, so. No attacks there from Fabled Passage. Quite happy just to keep it back there.
That was a Consult the Star charts. That is an excellent draw.
Ooh.
And then as far as Tony's perspective, there is 3 cards that can counter that. The last Spider Sense and then 2 Spell Snares. I guess we saw 1 Spell Snare as well, so there's 2 cards that can counter this. And Tony's seen a lot of his deck already,
Yeah, he has.
so I wouldn't be too
2 mana?
shocked.
4 mana, 2 cards.
Now Tony asking what he's paid and how many cards are in hand here. Does he want to do anything about this? Consult the star charts? Or is he more concerned about what Marco finds? Decides, nope, I don't want you having access to options. So Spider Sense it is.
And once again, you can just really look at
You're right.
like what Tony is thinking by the amount of mana efficiency and how many lands are left on tap every time. You'll notice the last couple turns, Tony just conveniently hasn't used that last 3 mana because at this stage of the game, getting a big spell no more lies is usually leading to I made a mistake. You know, if you have this many lands, you just be patient and never run into that card. Marco doesn't have it, but Tony is doing an excellent job of playing around it if it was there.
Absolutely. Sometimes you forget that it has the unless its controller pays 3 on there, but
Exactly.
Tony certainly not doing that.
And now we'll see if it's combo time, consult the star charts, or if it is just, all right, let's start bossing, say, on Fabled Passage, and attack for 11.
That's
you know?
a lot, yeah.
And there's double bossing, say, so if you really want to get busy, you can either
13.
put all your eggs in one basket on one Fabled Passage, start going wide on separate islands. Really, any avenue that Tony takes all look excellent right now.
And look very painful for Marco.
Exactly.
Land for turn. There's a forest. Should be a trigger on Earthbender Ascension.
Definitely should be. For sure something that you can miss.
Yep.
Yeah, and we played the land. No spells are cast, so I would assume should be no
For 11.
problem there.
Oh my goodness. Stuck up, Burst Lightning,
Yeah.
land,
Yep.
Harmonizer.
At this stage of the game, consult the star charts makes dig through time look like a cantrip.
My goodness. And this is why I like it. Oh, they got access to all the cards.
There it is, one of the most iconic cards and one of the most powerful cards, and Consult the Star Charts just has extra flexibility, no real drawback of having to actually have cards in the graveyard. Really shows just how powerful this card is
Yeah.
when we look at an all-star like that and the impact it made on Standard.
So the world is Tony's oyster at this point. He's got all the pressure on the board. He's got far more cards in hand than Marco. Curious if he'll attempt to go for it here or risk these creatures dying. If he's got the counterspell for an Armageddon or a Ultima,
Thank you.
then yeah, we're going to go to game 2 shortly.
Yeah, and at this point with how many Consult the Star Charts we've had, I mean, Tony's probably seen every card in his deck. You know, the cards on the bottom are probably in random order from Consult and stock ups. So you got to think as long as, you know, there weren't any mistakes made in selecting the card
There
that
we go.
we should be ready to go here.
Combo time. My
now-
Form Harmonizer on the stack.
And now you can also just like sacrifice this, come into play. You can just target Wistfulness.
You're first.
Double that power.
Yeah, double
Plus
that.
1/+1 counter.
And I think we still missed
We did miss
putting
one
that
of
counter
the
on it.
triggers, yeah.
Tony pointed at it,
You resolve first. And
Didn't
then
do it,
double
though.
power.
but didn't do it. Okay. And remember, I mean, this is a spot where these players have played a good amount of Magic today, but they've played a ton of Magic here throughout the weekend. And
And then the double power.
so
it
now,
was,
Double
8,
up.
16. then
so that's
17,
creating a
34.
lethal attacker there. And then what Toni is almost assuredly going to do is, go full bore on the Harmonizer as well
Yeah.
to present maybe another lethal attacker, or just back this one up.
Attack.
All right, get lost. Spell Snare says no thanks. And that is going to do it. Marco Belacca not able to find an answer or multiple answers here. Toni Portolan keeping an excellent control of his card draw, or limiting the card draw, I should say, from Marco's side of things. So game 2, no sideboarding, but now Marco is on the play.
And I got to say, that looked pretty convincing.
That was good.
just Toni surgically picking apart Marco one turn at a time, playing around No More Lies, even though we didn't see it. And probably could have went for it and won a turn earlier, but just made sure.
Yeah.
You always ask yourself the question, like, there's no pressure on me. How could I lose? And it's
Precisely.
overextending, tapping out, getting your spell No More Lies. Instead, what's the risk is the question you ask yourself in your brain of just waiting to go till the next turn. And Toni had that risk-reward ratio going on in his head, and then took down game number 1.
Paid off for him big time there, so excellently navigated by the Croatian. Marco Belacca on the other side of things has 2 lands available to him. No white just yet.
Just
Let's see what Toni goes for on turn 2 here. Nothing. Passes the turn back, ready to counter whatever Marco may attempt, but I think it's just going to be a lot of, oh no, land go.
I was going to say, you're pretty much a blue-white deck, so it's a big signal if you only have blue-red lands on your first 2 lands. So I was thinking, like, God, this could easily be a hand where you don't have a white source, but Holland Fawn off the top. At
Drew
least
out of
we
it.
are playing Magic here.
Yeah, that's relief for Marco.
Yeah, because I at least saw a stock up, so I can do that. Or, yeah, get Rest in Peace down again, but
Yeah, it's the second match, so or a second game, so we can't do anything about it right now. If you draw it, you might as well play it.
yeah. But if you have, like, stock up to play or something, like, I think I'd rather do that. Even if you, I mean, Marco almost assuredly would have 8 cards in hand after that. I'd rather stock up and discard Rest in Peace than play it. But it is not completely textless. It, of course, does do some good work against Ice Still Explorer.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have an answer, or at least some way to interact with this creature on the board here. So Mindform Harmonizer, Sans combo.
Yeah, believe it or not, you can just hard cast that one as well. And now look at the situation that Marco is kind of in now by not stocking up last turn. Now you have to find your land drops, where if you stock up last turn, maybe you go a land that you found off the stock up, get lost on Harmonizer, say go with a No More Lies or something available.
Yeah.
So I think that was a bit of a risk for sure. Because, yeah, we see Lightning Helix get lost in hand. There's a plethora of interaction, but, Marco's definitely prioritizing making land drops here, which you definitely need to do from the control side.
Yeah, you don't want to be behind in that department, and he did miss a land drop. So he's playing catch-up here, Elegant Parlor.
But this game can just be over.
It could just be over right now.
He
Marco's tapped out.
looked at 1 card, but it was unfortunate.
Yeah, just a
Okay, so that
dexterity
was the
area.
next
Looks
one.
like we
You
actually
know
saw
that.
2.
You didn't, Marian, right? They resolved the stock up.
Okay.
So they know the bottom 3 and everything
Yeah.
else is new, right?
Minor things,
So the shuffle
when
and
I've been
then-
playing at the Pro
Yes,
Tour,
this is
I've
the
probably
shuffle
done
and
this,
then we
10
shuffle the other
times.
person, and then we-
Had opponents do it about 10 times. It's just the moment your hands are shaking a little bit, you look, you see one extra card, usually easy fix, shuffle any known information. You keep those cards there, randomize the deck, and continue play. But all that being said, all Toni really has to have here is like Fabled Passage plus Full Bore.
We go to game 3.
Yeah.
Another land in to exile there.
Even just Fabled Passage, I think, might be lethal.
Oh, boy. Well, let's just do
trigger.
that. Double.
Exactly.
Jeez
8,
Louise.
16,
We're going to need Riley's math on this one.
64.
Woohoo! 64.
Quick math there from Toni as you get to double, 4. So 64. Tony knows his multiplications
Can I
of 4
sideboard and then
table
go
for
a
sure.
bathroom? So I'll present deck. And
Wow.
All right, well, Marco will be a little relieved here that now we get to go to the sideboard here. This is how the players have sideboarded. So Tony took out Thunder Magic, 3 Burst Lightning, into the Floodmaw, 1 Seer and 1 Full Bore, brought in Surak Elusive Hunter, Essence Scatter, 2 Spell Pierce, Quantum Riddler, Sandman, Shifting Scoundrel, say that 10 times fast,
Yep.
and Songcraft Mage.
So definitely going more blue, taking out red and some removals. So Tony's deck looks to be improving quite well with that one. So yeah, looks like some great changes for him.
Let's see what Marco has leaned on here from the sideboard. Taken out a Rest in Peace, a Braid, 2 Lightning Helix, 2 Day of Judgment, 2 Ultimas, nice, and brought in 2 Tishana's Tidebinders, those will be clutch, 1 Exercise, 1 the Unagi of Kyoshi Island, 2 Beza, Bounding Spring, and 2 Voice of Victory.
Very importantly to note that that is 1 Rest in Peace coming out and 1 staying in. And what that tells me is a large screaming, I do not have enough cards to bring in. I need to leave something in, as we've seen how Rest in Peace has looked quite average. But that's the thing is, you know, Tony, you want to guess how many times Tony has played against a control deck in testing? Probably a good amount, right?
Yeah.
How many times do you think Marco has played against Teamer Harmonizer, and how prepared is their sideboard guide ready to go for this? None, because this deck did not exist, and that is the big advantage that you gain from playing a brew like this at the Pro Tour. Now, there's risks of playing a brew like this at the Pro Tour. What if you're wrong?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're playing a deck that might just be not up to the power level,
I mean,
but
yeah, we've seen a fair amount of extremely good brewers and players bring their pet deck or their creation to the Pro Tour this weekend, and it hasn't worked out for a lot of them.
surprisingly, though, this is the Pro Tour of the brews.
Yeah,
Like, a lot
absolutely.
of them did well. It's the established deck, the people that played it safe, those are the people that actually got punished, which is kind of wild. Usually do not see that very often at a standard Pro Tour.
Stock up attempted there by Toni Portolan, met with no more lies, and now Marco Belacca. Is he main phasing a Consult the Star Charts?
Main phasing Consult, and that is because of Spell Snare. You just have to respect it. That exchange is so bad, but I'm going to feel like a broken record saying this again. Marco could just die next turn
Sure
to
could.
the Harmonizer full bore play, but...
And if that is the case, then Tony is our second finalist.
And that would be in quite dramatic fashion.
Let's see. Do we have a Harmonizer?
Yeah, you need a Harmonizer, Full Bore, and Fabled Passage. So it has to be about as perfect as possible.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, you're never starting with Fabled Passage when you do that. But, I mean, maybe Tony just goes for the same kind of play of Harmonizer, or this is the first game where a turn 4 Ice Till Explorer looks excellent. Because you can also get back a Fabled Passage to have untapped blue in case you have Spell Snare, or if you have another, like a Spell Pierce or something.
Love it. Yeah, Spell Snare. Spider Sense can't be used. There's an Into the Floodmaw.
Yeah, and then the 2 Spell Pierces that we
Piercing
brought in. So 2 drops and expensive spells are not safe. And looking at Marco's hand, I saw 2 Jeskai Revelation, Lightning Helix, 2 lands, and 1 other card. None of those counter anything.
Nope. And you have to double spell here just to kill this guy.
Looks like an exercise. So that
did you find one?
is
Okay.
able to deal with that straight away, and that's
a clean
great.
answer, yeah.
But Ice Till Explorer, even if you exercise it now, it's still kind of like you're getting 2 for 1 because Tony did get a free land drop, so...
No, wait, it's power forward greater, not toughness.
Oh, okay, absolutely, yeah. So
It would
not
have to
even
be-
able to do that either.
If he did have 2 Lightning Helix, it would have to be those 2.
Yeah, there's just no way to kill the Ice Till Explorer
It just gets to hang.
with the 2 2-mana removal spells you have in hand. That feels pretty bad. And now it looks like Marco is just leaning on the Quarry Mountain Monastery at end step.
Or he does have the exercise to be able to kill the creature that does get pumped if Tony goes for the combo here.
Now that's a sorcery, right? Exercise.
Is- oh, yeah,
Exercise
it
is a
is.
card that we
Yeah.
haven't seen
Never
played
mind.
a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
There's the Helix to the Harmonizer if you were to do that, and then you can like try to do some damage to it.
How, though?
Oh, yeah, no,
you
that-
can't kill that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't kill anything at the moment.
Yep, that is brutal. You really need just Get Lost to be able to interact. So it's brutal to even have Helix in your deck, but I think that is just another product of Marco does not have enough cards to bring in.
Yeah, this was not a matchup, like you said, that people tested against because this deck was not a known quantity before this weekend.
Exactly. Now Toni just getting 2 free land drops from the graveyard, so in a sense, Ice-Till Explorer kind of already drew 3 cards. The card is really phenomenal.
You can go.
Okay, all right. Quarry Mountain Monastery on the end step. Anything Toni wants to
I
do?
still have time to respond, right? After
Yes.
the reveal, right?
Yep, you can reveal,
Yeah,
and
I get
then
the priority back.
yes, you do,
Just double checking here.
because it
So the
shows off the
reveal-
top.
Okay, so I get the priority. I can after I see, I can do something.
Well, after it's exiled,
No, it's exiled. It's fine.
Okay.
I want to do so. The priority passes to me, right?
when this
priority now,
resolves,
right?
yes, on your turn, yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly how it is. And now that you see the card and you get a little extra information, you can then choose what to do. I mean, Toni realistically would be doing this no matter what you
Yeah.
see, but of course the tight technical play is just get the most information first. That gives you the ability to make the best possible choice you can have with your consult. And that looked like a lot of goodies, Ailey.
That was a lot of goodies. What are you taking out of that pile there?
I mean, it's all contextual to the hand. You know, if you don't have a harmonizer, you take that. If you don't have a full bore, you take that.
Yeah.
And
So
if you
one
need
of the
more
full
cards, you take consult, and there were also counter spells. Either way you slice it, this matchup kind of seems like it's really bad for Marco, where it
Yeah.
seemed pretty close,
Yeah.
kind of looking at the deck list.
I mean, yeah, Toni thought the first time they played yesterday that he got away with it, you know,
Yeah.
winning that 2-1, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, it just seems like the removal just doesn't line up that great from the Jeskai control side.
Yes.
It seems like what you need to beat a deck like Harmonizer is something like a deck that would be good against like Dimir midrange, something where you have good, cheap, efficient removal for the creatures, but you can also present a threat like Kaido. I mean, like Kaido seems like a nightmare for Toni. And, you know, ironically, that is the matchup that got him into the top 8 against Petter.
Surveil it on bottom or top.
Meticulous Archive, surveilling there for Marco.
Cards.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands.
7 cards.
Next turn, we get to go Jeskai Revelation.
If there is a next turn, exactly. This, you know, with 5 mana available, we know the coast is relatively clear. Toni doesn't, and the one thing you don't want to do is get hasty and try to just go for it now. But also, if you're like, wow, Jeskai Revelation actually would interact with me next if I went for it on the following turn, then you're like, okay, let's do that before you have Jeskai Revelation mana available. But let's say you have a Spell Pierce in hand, you're plenty fine.
Man. 1 mana to counter 7 mana spell.
Exactly. You'd be plenty fine having a setup turn, and then on the turn where Marco would have 7 mana, then you go for something and have the Spell Pierce available type thing.
Turn passes back here to Toni. After fetching his land, milling Earthbender Ascension into the graveyard. Ice-Till Explorer lives to fight another turn. Does he get a friend? Ooh,
Okay.
what was that?
That looked like
Earthbender
Sandman.
Sandman?
Shifting Scoundrel.
Shifting Scoundrel. Also another card great against the Cub decks.
Yeah. This is a gigantic creature. We haven't seen a lot of this card making an impact in Standard, and it is just a one-of here in the sideboard for Toni, but a lot of one-of creatures, which is pretty interesting. It's a lot of answers for different things, and then 3 one-of really spicy creatures on the board.
Songcraft Mage being one of them.
3
Surak as well.
mana. I know what warps in for 3.
Sandman.
All right, never mind.
Never mind. He's 3 mana too.
That's
But he gets to stay.
What? Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4,
9.
9.
a 9.
Just a casual 9/9 for 3 mana.
That's pretty good.
And also able to get a land and this card back from your graveyard.
Yeah, so basically, that is a card that never dies. It has to be exiled, so Exercise is going to actually find a great target here. The best possible target, you would think.
No.
So it looks like we almost untapped there. Not... Wow, doing that instead of activating Quarry Mountain Monastery is very interesting when both players are at 20, you know?
Did they shock themselves?
Like, that's essentially you know,
No,
has
I don't think so.
zero
I
relevance.
think this is maybe from
So-
the last game.
Yeah, you lose from last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you haven't shocked
So
yourself. You're
23,
good.
17
23 to 17.
cards.
Untap. Board wipe.
Yeah.
Board wipe fails, then exercise. I wonder how many answers Tony has to removal spells here.
Yeah, it feels like we're starting with exercise, and man, if there's any spell snare or something. So it looks like we're doing uncounterable here to just deal with.
Mist Village, allowing exercise to become uncounterable.
Yep. Solid plan, as you know, that creature could definitely go the distance if left unchecked. So while exercise seemed like a card that maybe doesn't have a lot of targets, this is a big one.
Yeah. Big enough.
Yeah.
So the Shifting Scoundrel, return this card and target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Tap. That can be done at end step if there's nothing else to do. Just FYI.
Yeah, if it was indeed in the graveyard.
Yes, it was in the graveyard.
Yeah, that card's incredibly tough to kill if you're just playing you know,
Yeah,
spot
if you're just
removal,
removing, yeah.
non-exile removal.
Check as well, right?
Yes. Exorcised, so no returning shenanigans to be had there. Land go, all right.
And now Tony has to know the information that, well, the most interaction that Marco could have is a 2-mana counterspell backed up with a spell snare. So you essentially think the best that Marco could do here to interact with what I'm doing is like Get Lost spell snare or No More Lies spell snare. Those aren't the most difficult things to play around from Tony's deck when Tony has this much mana available. So
He's
this
done
feels like this could be the
such a
turn.
good job. Yeah, he's done such a great job at, you know, navigating around these counter spells or even potential counter spells from Marco.
Yeah.
He just hasn't slipped up once.
Yeah, and the one thing that Tony has just had a plethora of is time. Marco has never put a threat on the table that has
Never
put
applied
Tony in any kind of, you know, stressful situation. The Inagi at Kyoshi Island is something that seems like it would be very important, or trying to resolve Jeskai Revelation. But man, in these post-board games, having to play through now 6 counter spells, including Spell Pierce, which is a 1-mana way to deal with your 7-mana bomb, that just feels like this is a really difficult matchup.
I need one more, right?
I need one more. Yep.
Yeah. One more. Are we bossing saying?
Looks like.
Yes. Need to pay. Tap 4 lands for that, basically.
Yep. We'll see if Tony still wants to go for that. Big thinks on this turn.
Yeah.
Usually when, oh, okay. Instead is wanting to keep. Okay, I think I see what's happening here. Tony, instead of bossing saying here, is going Harmonizer, leaving 3 mana available to pay for No More Lies, 1 for Full Bore, and 1 for Spell Snare, is what seems like basically checkmate. So we'll see if that's what Tony has.
Toni Portolan seems to be just moments away from clinching a final spot here at Pro Tour Lorwyn Eclipsed. And he's done it in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, and just like everybody would be calling going into this Pro Tour, you know, Full Bore and Demir Excruciator being the decks in the finals. Of course, the staples of Standard.
Targeting Isle Explorer to double the power there. Mill off the land. There goes a Quantum Riddler.
So that is a doubled.
So it says one double power.
Yeah.
One-
So he's got 4 power. That's got
Oh, it's double on the Ice Till.
yeah,
Okay.
2
So-
counters on that.
That is very much saying my ice or my Harmonizer is not getting in there. But with Ice Till Explorer here, you are able to have 4 land drops. So
Yeah.
2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32 without Full Bore. And this is having some mana available for presumably at least one piece of interaction. Quite possibly.
My.
Quite possibly 2. With 2 blue source, it could be Spell Snare
Yeah.
and Pierce.
I think he's got all his bases covered
So-
here.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him go for it once without
3 times
having a
double power,
backup
right?
plan.
Yeah.
Which is also
At least not in this matchup.
so one, yeah, it's 4.
To 8 to
8 to
16.
Yeah.
And then with the Fabled Passage, that is airbent. Wow, you can actually get it to 64. Because the Fabled Passage comes back and you get another land. So you can technically make 5 land drops on this turn.
My goodness. That is enough,
Just a 64-4 coming in.
3 Jeskai Revelations in hand. Nothing.
And of course, you still got to remember all your triggers.
Yeah. Still keep it clean. I don't think Marco has anything to do about this enormous creature coming through.
This is a double check. Make sure I have enough basics. Double check.
Yeah, I'll not search. I don't have one. So
Not
it's
search.
32 now.
So this is just 32.
And that is going to do it. Toni
have
Portolan picks up a clean 3-0 here in our semifinals. We have our second finalist. Christopher Larson knows who he's facing, and it is none other than Toni Portolan.
Yeah, wow. What an incredible finals here at the Pro Tour. And we saw Marco just show the hand of 3 Jeskai Revelation. Toni did have the 1 Spider Sense as well if there was 1 piece of interaction, but Marco's just like, I didn't have anything. I had 21 mana value worth of spells in hand, but nothing to be able to cast.
I mean, it's super unfortunate for Marco. You know, he just didn't have any real way to deal with, you know, instant speed threats like that, because by the time he gets to a board wipe, he's already dead. So
it seemed like what you really need against this combo deck in particular, and really every combo deck to beat them, is pressure mixed with disruption. You can't really have one or the other, as the deck's too fast and can beat pressure, versus the deck is too resilient if you only have interaction. So, I mean, the deck just looks great.
And in this matchup as well, like, his pressure is Jeskai Revelation, and if he doesn't have a backup spell, if he hasn't got a land for it, then he's just getting countered by a Spell Pierce.
And now looking forward, you know, there is a lot of interaction from Chris, and there's pressure at least to the library with the Excruciator. So this is going to be a great finals.
Can't wait for it, friends. But before we get there, let's hear from Toni. He chatted to Cedric after his win.
Toni, last time we spoke, you said that this matchup was going to be more difficult because they had interaction.
Yeah.
You made it look pretty easy, my friend.
Yeah, it went 3-0 pretty easily. I think game 2 and game 3, my opponent get a bit unlucky with the deck, but I think it's unfortunate with the control deck. And even game 1, I chained my card draw spells while they couldn't resolve. Like the one when they tried to resolve it, I had a spell snare. So yeah, I think this version of the control deck has a poorer matchup than, for example, a blue-white control with counter spells. So yeah, I had a game plan, especially post-cyber games, when I don't need to go for the combo, just kill them with a creature on the board and then play the Harmonizer, and it went like that.
I'd say it went quite well. So as you move on to the finals, you could play against Christopher Larson, playing Dimir Excruciator, or Eduardo Sajilik, who is on Is It Elementals. If you could play against one, who would it want to be?
I played against both of them, Eduardo in Limited and Christopher in Constructed. I won against Christopher, so, but I'm not sure. I think the Elemental decks is a bit easier matchup than the Dimir one, so, but I'm rooting for any of them. It's they're both great player and great people, so whoever is in the finals deserves it.
Well, you're a great player as well. We look forward to seeing you in the finals. Congratulations.
A deserving finalist indeed. It is Toni Portolan up against Christopher Larson. The finals of Pro Tour Lorwyn Eclipsed are up after the break.